Hello everyone, this is Ross Mullins with Forex Traders Daily, and this is your weekly trade recap for the week ending April 8th, and a trade outlook for the coming week. In this week, we saw some really good trading opportunities, taking multiple trades at some key levels that helped us cap off a week of profit. Let's get started here on the dollar franc. Taking a look at the daily time frame here, we've been studying this trend channel or range highlighted between the two diagonal red trend lines that you see here on my chart. The top highs along the top red trend line, 1, 2, 3 times touching the top red trend line, coming along the bottom, 1, 2, and now the third time coming very close to the bottom of that trend range or channel over the past week or so. And we've been studying opportunities here to go long, looking for reversal and the return or the continuation of the trend channel pattern that we've been in, where we saw the fall, the rally, the fall, the rally, the fall towards the bottom of the channel. Now we're looking for evidence and clues that the market's going to turn around and go back up, just like it did the last two times. Now, of course, it could break down through here and continue to go lower, but at the current moment, it just doesn't give us confidence to go short. In fact, what we've been doing all week long is looking for opportunities to go long and buy the dollar franc. Take it on down to the 4-hour time frame, and this is really going to explain what's happening here all week long. You can see the green shaded area going all the way from 95.50 up to 95.70. That's the entire green zone that you can see here. You go back to the left-hand side of the chart, or the left-hand side of that green shaded area. That's back on April 1st. That's last Friday, of course. Last Friday, we have non-farm payrolls that came out of the U.S., positive data, positive news for the U.S. with those non-farm payrolls. So with positive news, began looking for opportunities to go long on any dips into this green zone. So as the week went on, starting on Monday, we had opportunities to buy it. We saw the market bounce up 30, 40 pips from the green zone. A couple of times, 1, 2, 3 times, seeing the market push up above the green shaded area. Each time, protecting profit as we saw it bounce up. And then as it broke back down through, we looked for support back down towards the 95.50 level, giving us even another opportunity down towards the bottom of the green zone to take into a buy. And even going up from the 95.50 into the 95.75 or so level, we had an opportunity to protect the trade. And then once it turned back down, went down under the green zone, we stopped buying, and now we're waiting for a new opportunity. I think as we go into early next week, especially if on Monday we're back within or above that green shaded area, we'll start to look for the market to push back higher towards this blue shaded area up here for the dollar franc next week. Moving on to the euro dollar. This currency pair we've been focused on selling, just the opposite of the US franc. This is the weekly time frame, of course, previous downtrend. For the past year, we've been in this channel or range highlighted in the red box. Take it on down to the daily time frame. Look at this. Just move it over just a touch, and you can see all the times finding resistance into the 1.1400 level. So nothing new now. We're still looking for resistance into the 1.1400 level. Take it down to the 4-hour time frame. Take a look at this. Let's zoom it in one more time here. Actually, let's go in much deeper. Look at that 114 level. All week long, we've had opportunities to go short here on the euro dollar. Again, positive news out of the U.S., starting with last week's non-farm payrolls and earnings report. And this week, we even have some other positive news. We've taken multiple sells from the 1400 level, capturing profit on the way down. In fact, if you look here closely, you can see I'm back in it, right back at the 114 level again. I'll probably close it before the weekend, but definitely continue to concentrate on going short underneath 114, looking for it to stay within or under that green zone in 114. Anything above there would be the risk, and it would likely turn higher if we get some negative news out of the U.S. So we'll concentrate on selling. If we get negative news, we'll look for it to break out and go higher. But for the time being, I'm looking for continued sells on the euro dollar. GBPUSD, we've been kind of stuck inside that black box for the past couple of weeks. We found resistance up at the top, started working our way down, and we've been down at the bottom all week long. Let's take a zoom down to the 4-hour time frame. Take a look at the past couple of days, just kind of consolidating and contracting between the pink zone, we'll call it 1.4055, and the yellow zone 1.4150. So mid 40s, mid 1.4 thousands, mid 1.4100s, kind of bouncing around over the past couple of days. Look at how it's consolidating, lower highs and higher lows. I think, at least for the time being, this is obviously resistance at the yellow shaded area, obviously support at the pink zone, and at some point in time, fundamentally, it makes sense for this to break down and go lower, but we obviously will be watching for clues and evidence of a break above the yellow zone likely start to see this turn back higher again for the GBPUSD. Take it on over here to the USDCAD. We've had a couple of things happen over the past few days. Of course, positive news on NFP last week caused this to rally a little bit, but this week we've seen oil prices that have been going up. So that causes the USCAD to go down. We had positive Canadian data today. Jobs numbers out of Canada were positive, so that causes this currency pair to go down. And, of course, the trend has been down for quite a long time, and that has now challenged back down to the pink zone. Take it on down here and zoom it in on the 4-hour time frame. Take a look at that support zone down here, the pink shaded area. For the time being, as long as it sits on top of that pink zone, I don't think it's a good opportunity to go short at all. I think if we're going to go short because of the news that we've had recently out of Canada, we want to let go up, either back to the blue zone or maybe even the yellow shaded area before we look for a new opportunity to go short. Next opportunity other than that, if it doesn't go back up, would be a breakdown of the pink zone. Then we look for it to go short. And I want an open and close underneath there. I don't want a false breakout like what we saw back over here. I want a real breakout. Otherwise, any more positive news out of the U.S. or negative news out of Canada, or either oil prices start to dramatically fall, we might look for some rally back higher once again for the US CAD. Moving on to the US yen. Wow, what a dramatic week this has been. Just broke underneath the little range, the black box that we see there. We saw support right around the 111 level. Even earlier this week we saw support around there. In fact, this is the only losing trade we had this week. We took a buy there right around the 111.30 level, the blue shaded area. Market just pushed on through there, took us out at the stop loss, and just continued to pressure lower. We've been out of it ever since then. No real clear entry point. It just started barreling lower and never really slowed down too much at all. So I haven't had an opportunity to get in on the short that was clear and safe in my opinion. So I've just been watching this go down for whatever reason. Now we're looking for support. I don't think it's a good idea ever to sell at the bottom of a downtrend. I just never think that that's a good idea. I think you'd want it to go up before it goes down, back to the purple zone, or maybe even back up here to the blue zone, the bottom of the range, before you'd look to go short. You just don't want to sell it at the bottom of the trend. Otherwise, early next week, if we get some more positive sentiment for the U.S., we might begin to look for some reversal. And of course, there's always those rumors of intervention by the Bank of Japan. But again, we'll be watching for support, potential reversal, but no selling opportunities unless this goes back up a little bit for the US yen. Moving on over to the AUDUSD, some different things happening here this week as well, but we've been focused overall bearish here for the Australian dollar all week long. We saw the market cap out at the 7,700 level. Of course, last week's positive jobs news out of the US causing a little bit of a push lower, pushed under the pink zone, gave us an opportunity to go short earlier this week underneath the 75.80, 7,600 level, the pink shaded area, capturing 100 pips of profit as it went back down here towards the orange shaded area. So let's go ahead and zoom it on down to the 4-hour. Take a look at that. It started moving down, pushed under the pink zone, came back underneath it, took shorts midweek, took shorts here, and captured profit all the way back down to the orange zone. Then it came back up, took us out of the remaining position. Earlier today in the live trade room, I suggested if it gets close or inside that pink zone, today or even going into early next week, we'll continue looking for opportunities to go short here. We know what the risk is. The risk is a breakout back above there. We start looking for it to go higher. So that's what we're going to focus on next week. Selling the pink zone, 75.80, 7,600, targeting once again back down here towards the orange zone, and anything underneath there, we look for it to go lower. Breaking back above 7,600, targets back towards the green shaded area in the top of our last resistance high that we see here for the Australian dollar. And lastly, moving over to the NZDUSD New Zealand dollar, take a look here at the daily time frame. We've been focused in on this black box here on the daily time frame. Top of the black box, top of the range. Red circle resistance, blue box resistance, green circle resistance. We've been focused in on that all week long, looking for opportunities to sell resistance. Last week, of course, we had some dovish comments made by the Fed, caused this to break out above the blue shaded area, capping out into the 6,900s. Then it turned right back around with positive jobs numbers on NFP, turned right back around, got underneath it. So this week we've been focused in on selling underneath that blue zone. Take it down to the 4-hour. Here's your opportunities right here to sell under the blue zone. We took the sells, went all the way down to the pink shaded area. We're able to capture 70 pips of profit on the way back down to the pink shaded area. Now it's made a bounce back up. Similar to the Australian dollar, I think we're going to continue to concentrate on selling this pair into the 68.40, 68.70 level, just like we did earlier this week. We know what the risk is. Let's keep our risk small. The risk is it breaks above 68.70 and goes higher. So as long as it hasn't done that, that's going to be the overall focus, is selling underneath there. A break above there may give us an opportunity to target back up here towards the orange shaded area again and the 69.60, 69.80 level. Back down, of course, goes back to the pink zone, and anytime it breaks underneath that pink shaded area, we'll look for further movement lower for the New Zealand dollar as we go through next week.